I don't have any doubt about it right now. That's what Daniel Jones told the media as day 3 of Giants OTAs wrapped up when he was asked if he would be ready to go for week 1. We know Daniel Jones has been rehabbing that ACL all offseason long. He tore it back in the 2023 season in week 9 against the Las Vegas Raiders. He's already participating in parts of OTAs, and he believes he will be ready for week 1. We'll start talking about Daniel Jones' injury updates and how he's looking at camp. Then we'll close today's show talking about Malik Nabers and Brian Burns, as according to the media, they have been the best 2 players on the field so far. This is what Daniel Jones said, though, when asked about how OTAs are going and how he's feeling. Says, quote, "It feels good. It felt good out there Thursday, but just getting back in the swing of things and playing football against the defense, against guys moving around. I thought it was a good day. Continue to kind of progress and continue to work on things." One thing I love about Daniel Jones is he is a smart dude. He's got a lot of moxie up here, and he knows that this is probably his last chance to prove to himself, Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, the Maras, the Tisches, and the entire New York Giants organization that he can be a franchise quarterback. And I know he's going to put in the work. He's going to do everything he possibly can to be ready to go week 1. And that's why he told you he has no doubts about being ready to go. Because he knows if he does not start week 1 because he's still rehabbing that ACL and Drew Lock goes out there and lights it up, he may not ever get his job back. So I respect the fact that DJ is doing everything he possibly can in his rehab to be ready to go week 1, and it sounds like he will. I like to bring up this picture on the show from time to time to just compare quarterback ACL recovery time in different situations. Daniel Jones tore his in week 9. He said he's going to be ready to go week 1. That's very similar to the Deshaun Watson timeline back in 2017 when he tore his ACL in week 9 and he was ready to go week 1. Jimmy Garoppolo almost needed a full 365. Carson Wentz had a quick recovery, but Joe Burrow, like Watson and Daniel Jones, on that same time frame to get hurt in week 9, week 10, and 11 and be ready to rock and roll for week 1. Another thing about Daniel Jones that I will always respect about him is he's one of the harder workers, if not the hardest worker on this team. And you can respect that when you look at your quarterback and a leader. If you're the first guy in, last guy out, and you put the work in, the results should follow. Unfortunately, that's only happened for 1 year with Jones. But you knew he was going to attack his rehab and do absolutely everything he can to be back on the football field as soon as possible. And he's already doing it at OTAs. Through 3 practices, Jones is not participating in 11-on-11s, but he is participating in 7-on-7s, and he is doing individual drills, which is a great first step in the right direction to be ready to play against the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. Daniel Jones was also asked, how did he deal with the fact that he had heard, or there was rumors, or maybe it was real, that the Giants were going to try to trade up and select a quarterback? All the quarterback rumors. They asked DJ about that at practice today, and he said this, and I love it. Quote, "Yeah, I wasn't fired up about it. I think it's part of it at this level. Like I said, what I can do is focus on myself, getting healthy, and playing the best football that I can play, and that I know I'm capable of playing. That is my job, and that is what I'm going to do." But Marshall, the Giants didn't want a quarterback. I told you. I tried to tell you. I told you all off season long. The Giants wanted to add another quarterback. There just wasn't the right move for them to make to get it done. But in that quote that Daniel Jones says, I wasn't fired up about it, means that the Giants probably told him we may add a quarterback, and that they were actually interested in doing it. Overall, I like this answer from Jones. That's in a tough spot. That's in life in general. Imagine at your job, your boss comes up to you and says, hey, it's a big year for you, and we're actually going to start looking for your replacement right now. We may not even give you another year to prove yourself. We might get your replacement in 2 weeks. How would you deal with that? It'd be tough. I would struggle with it. But I think Jones is handling it the right way. All you can do is control what you can control. Focus on what you need to focus on. And you know what? If Daniel Jones comes out and lights it up this year and plays like a top 5 quarterback, Giants won't be in a spot or have a need to go out and add a new signal caller to this team. DJ knows. He knows this is his last chance. Everybody knows. This is his last opportunity to prove to this franchise, and I think to himself as well, that he could be a franchise quarterback. Can he be one? I think he can. Will he be one? Doesn't matter what I think anymore. It's year 6, baby. It's either now or it is never. And the Giants know that they can get out a large part of Daniel Jones' contract if they cut him after this season. If the Giants are to cut Daniel Jones after this upcoming football season, they save $19.3 million. Cap savings if cut. $19.3 million if Daniel Jones is cut after this season. If he's on the roster, he is due, and his cap hit will be $41.6 million. So the question that I need Daniel Jones to answer this year is, well, I'll give you my answer to that in a second. How about you answer this first? What does Daniel Jones need to do to not be cut? If the Giants cut him, they save $19 million. If he's on the team next year, they are due to pay him $41.6 million. What does Daniel Jones need to do to not be cut? I want to hear from all the real ones down in the comments section. The conclusion that I have come up with when it comes to Daniel and what he has to do to prove to this team, and I'm acting as if I'm the general manager right now, what he has to do to stay on this roster is he needs to make me believe that he can win a Super Bowl. He needs to prove to me that he can be the starting quarterback on a team that is a Super Bowl contender. I don't care what the stats are. Obviously, I care what the record is. But there's no X amount of touchdowns, X amount of yards, X amount of interceptions to keep him on this team. You know why? Because if I am going to have a cap hit for a quarterback at $41.6 million, he needs to be able to win a Super Bowl. And if I don't come out of this year with that feeling, you got to move on. Save the 19.6 and go address the quarterback position in free agency, trades, or the draft. Best thing Daniel Jones has got going for him right now is he's got an opportunity to go out and prove it. Ball is in your court, DJ. Coming up next, we've got updates from OTAs about Malik Nabers and Brian Burns absolutely dominating. And the quote was, I'm not sure there's been a play yet where Malik Nabers has not been open, and Brian Burns is showing his impact and what he's going to be able to do on passing downs against opposing offenses. But first, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I love doing these OTA videos, but the only way we could do them is if you guys keep showing love. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We put out free, informative, entertaining updates every day on the New York Giants, and we're almost at our goal of 48,500 subscribers. So if you want videos every day on the Giants, all year long, hit that big red subscribe button right now. All righty, rookie wide receiver Malik Nabers has had a really good couple of OTAs, and I don't want to take too much from it, but according to Pat Leonard, Malik Nabers was open on almost every 11-on-11 route that he ran at Thursday's practice, OTA number 3. And that's what you want from your number 6 overall pick. You want him to be unguardable. You want him to be unstoppable. You want him to be a good practice sparring partner for a guy like Deonte Banks, for a guy like Cordell Flott, Nick McLeod, Andrew Phillips. You want those guys to struggle, and you want them to battle. Iron sharpens iron. And Malik Nabers, he is showing why he was a top 10 pick in the NFL. He had a big day on Thursday. He beat Cordell Flott twice, not once, but twice on double moves. That just shows you how special he is. And on one of those double moves, he actually got a pass thrown from Drew Lock on the money where they ended practice with a 50-yard touchdown. So Nabers is already showing the Giants staff, the Giants DBs, and everybody on this roster that he's explosive, he's talented, and he is going to change life for this offense overnight like he already has. Loved hearing that Nabers is shining once again at OTAs. That kid's got a bright future, and we're lucky he's a New York Giant. Brian Burns on the other side of the ball getting just as much praise from Giants beat reporters as was Nabers. And Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post said, Brian Burns looked like arguably the best player on the field. When you're a defensive lineman, a pass rusher, in a non-contact practice, and you look like the best player on the field, that means something, man. It does. Connor Hughes, who covers the Giants, says that he had Brian Burns down for 3 sacks. He's disrupting practice already. Sure, Andrew Thomas didn't play. Evan Neal did not practice, as both are I think Thomas is kind of some workload management, and Evan Neal continues to battle back from that Achilles. But I love hearing that Brian Burns is being a game wrecker at practice, because that's why you pay a guy $150 million, and that's why you give up a 2nd and 5th round pick to add a pass rusher like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't felt like I've done a good job of expressing myself at this point, but I got giddy today watching all the highlights at practice, talking to people that were at practice and hearing how special these two dudes look. I am fired up about the duo of Kayvon Thibodeaux and Brian Burns. Those two guys should dominate offensive tackles across the NFL. The Giants haven't had a pass rushing duo like this since JPP and J Tuck, OC and J Tuck. I don't know. This duo is going to be special. And we've seen them already do that in the NFL, and I don't expect anything to change. If anything, the only thing that's going to change is I think their jobs are going to be a little bit easier. Because Burns has never played with a pass rusher on the other side like Kayvon Thibodeaux. And you could say the same about him. And neither of them have played with a pass rusher like each other, while also, arguably, in my opinion, having the best interior defensive lineman on this football team. You look at the defensive line depth chart for the Giants. Burns, Lawrence, Thibodeaux. Those are three of the better pass rushing players in this league. And they all are going to help each other. They're all going to learn each other. And they are all going to cause a lot of havoc on defense this year. I even love having Azeez Ojulari as that third rotational pass rusher. I'm excited for what the D-line is going to do. That needs to be your most dominant position group, and they should probably be the identity of this football team. I want you to predict it, though, before we bounce on out of here. Who has more sacks this year for the Giants? Is it Brian Burns? Is it Kayvon Thibodeaux? Type BB for Burns, KT for Kayvon Thibodeaux. How about both of them walk away with 12.5 sacks and we get 25 sacks between those two, and Azeez gets you another 5. Dexter Lawrence gets you 8. We almost got 40 sacks between those 4 players. Sign me up. Let me know who gets more sacks, and make sure to follow me over on social media. Been putting out videos nonstop here on the channel, mostly 2 times a day this week. Hit me up over there if you want to talk more Giants, and let's go Big Blue.